Okay, I have a new vocabulary word for you, and that is middle C. So, what is middle C? Middle C is actually kind of an important concept to us, and it's a little tricky. It's trickier than it is. This is one of the rare ones that's harder for us than it is for music theory that's being taught on a piano. Because middle C just means the C that's right in the middle of a piano. So, if you're sitting at a full size piano, you find a C that's right in the middle, and that's middle C. But things in the electronic world are not so cut and dry because we can go really high and a little bit low. You know, we can go down to C-2 up to C8 or so. And middle C on a keyboard that's not full size, right? So you might be working with a MIDI controller that has, 4 octaves. You might be working with one that has 5 octaves. You might be working with one of those, smaller like M Audio or Novation keyboards that only have like an octave and a half, right? They only have like 15 keys or something like that. In which case, you have an octave button, right? That'll shift everything up or down by an octave. If you have any of those things, then middle C is not going to be in the middle of your keyboard. It's going to be depending on what that octave is. So when I say middle C, what I'm talking about is C4. This is of some debate by manufacturers. Some manufacturers call middle C C3, and some call C4. But in the music world, the standard is C4. So if you need to just ground yourself, that's what the word middle C is for, is just to say, where am I? I've got all these notes, right? Am I high? Am I low? Or whatever. If you're looking at this and you're saying C1, is that high or low? You can always think, well, middle C is C4. That's kind of like middle of the road. Above C4 is high. Below C4 is low. If you want to make a bass line, you want to be below C4 by kind of a bit. If you want to make like a lead, you want to be above C4 or right around C4. So that is middle C, C4. If you're just kind of like still trying to find it, another clue you can use is it's always MIDI note 60. So a lot of the time your keyboard might have a readout of the MIDI note that you're playing. If it does, then you want note number 60 is going to be middle C. In Ableton, the easiest way to see it, I think, is to map it. If I was to map a note, this note, then you would see here the note name as note number 60. So that's how you can kind of see what note it is. That's not a great way to do it, but I think it's the fastest way just to see the MIDI note number right in Ableton. So, and your whatever sequencer you're using might have a better way just to show you the raw MIDI data if you want to. It's really not that big a deal, so don't stress out about it too much. So that is middle C. Now let's say you're looking at your keyboard, your piano keyboard, right, your MIDI controller, and you're trying to find C in the first place, much less middle C, right? Let's go over real quick how to find the note C if it's not labeled. So when you're looking at a keyboard and you want to find C, here's what we're going to look for. Remember our pattern of black notes. C is not a black note, but we have a pattern of 2 black notes and then a pattern of 3 black notes, and then a pattern of 2 and then a pattern of 3, right? There's always this pattern of 2 black notes and pattern of 3. Find the pattern of 2 black notes and then go down 1. It's right underneath the pattern of 2 black notes. That's always C. And why do we care about C in the first place? Why am I talking about C so much? Why not A? Isn't that the beginning of the alphabet, right? C tends to be the kind of grounding point that we use for everything. It's the easiest to explain music theory concepts using C for reasons that I'll explain more in detail later once we start talking about keys. But only if we use C as our grounding point. C is just the easiest key to use to explain a lot of different music theory concepts. So we use it as just kind of a grounding spot for a lot of different stuff. So it's important to know where it is on the keyboard. I'm not going to ask you to memorize all the notes going up the keyboard and learn how to play piano, right? That's not part of this class. But knowing where C is and somewhat knowing where middle C is can be a real benefit to you as you're working on tracks or writing music. So please take the time to learn just that. Find the pattern of 2 black notes, and then you just go down 1, and that's where C is, always. Middle C, on the other hand, will change depending on your octave setting. But that's middle C. Awesome.